Imagine waking up in a strange city with no map, no idea where you are, and zero sense of direction. You do not know if you are heading toward your hotel, a bakery, or the local alligator wrestling festival. And to make things worse, every stranger you ask for help points in a different direction because they secretly enjoy watching tourists wander in circles. Now imagine instead you have a magical little box in your pocket that, within seconds, tells you exactly where you are, how to get to the nearest bakery, and even how long it will take you to walk there, jog there, or crawl there in dramatic slow motion. That magical box is your phone, and the magic inside it is GPS, also known as the Global Positioning System. But how does it actually work? And please do not say, well, there are satellites or something, because that is the same level of scientific detail as saying, cars move because of vroom. Let us actually get into it. At its core, GPS is basically your phone shouting at space, "Where am I?" and space shouting back, "You are right here. Stop panicking." But unlike your friend who always takes a wild guess when giving directions, space uses math, physics, and an army of 31 satellites orbiting the Earth to get the answer exactly right. Yes, there are 31 satellites up there dedicated to making sure you never have to argue about which exit to take on a road trip again. These satellites are part of a US-owned system, but they are free for anyone in the world to use, kind of like public Wi-Fi, except it actually works. Here is the wild part. These satellites are not just floating randomly up there like space debris from a Netflix sci-fi show. They are arranged in such a way that, no matter where you are on Earth, you can always see at least 4 of them from your location. Not see with your eyes, of course, unless you have some sort of terrifying X-ray vision, but see in the sense that your GPS receiver can pick up their radio signals. Yes, radio signals. GPS satellites talk to your phone using the same basic kind of invisible waves your car radio uses, except instead of sending you 80s rock or questionable morning talk shows, they send extremely precise timing data. Each GPS satellite carries multiple atomic clocks. These clocks are so accurate that they lose about 1 second every 300 million years, which is great because if you are going to navigate an entire planet, close enough does not cut it. Every satellite constantly broadcasts 2 main things: its exact position in space and the exact time the signal left the satellite. Your phone listens for these signals, and here is where the math party starts. When a signal leaves a satellite, it travels at the speed of light to your phone. By comparing the time the signal was sent with the time it was received, your phone can calculate how far away the satellite is. It is like if your long-distance friend shouted banana and you timed how long it took for the sound to reach you, except with light-speed radio waves, not fruit-based screaming. This distance measurement is called pseudo-range because it is not a perfect measurement, thanks to tiny delays caused by things like the atmosphere and clock differences, but close enough to make your pizza delivery guy find your door instead of your neighbor's swimming pool. Now here's the clever part. Knowing how far you are from one satellite tells you you are somewhere on a giant imaginary sphere around it. Knowing your distance from a second satellite means you are somewhere on the circle where those 2 spheres intersect. Add a third satellite, and you can narrow it down to exactly 2 points. One of those points is usually in space, and unless you are on the International Space Station ordering takeaway, your GPS politely ignores that one. That whole process is called trilateration, which sounds like a medieval torture method, but is actually just space geometry saving your road trip. And to really pin down your location in 3D with maximum accuracy, your GPS uses signals from at least 4 satellites, because it also needs to correct for the tiny difference between the atomic clocks in the satellites and the much less accurate clock in your phone. Without that correction, your position could be off by kilometers, and you might think you are in a supermarket when you are actually in a swamp. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but how do the satellites themselves know exactly where they are? The answer is, they are tracked and adjusted constantly from ground stations all over the Earth. There is a network of monitoring stations, master control stations, and ground antennas that measure where each satellite is and send corrections if needed. Think of it like a space babysitting service, making sure the satellites do not drift off and start thinking they are part of Elon Musk's Starlink. But here is the thing no one tells you. GPS signals are incredibly weak by the time they reach Earth. They are sent from over 20,000 kilometers away, so by the time they hit your phone's antenna, they have about the same power as a tiny LED light bulb inside a houseplant. That is why tall buildings, tunnels, or even dense tree cover can mess with your GPS, and why your phone sometimes decides you are suddenly 100 meters away in a lake. GPS needs a clearish line of sight to the satellites, and the less interference, the better your location accuracy. Now, GPS does not just help you find the nearest coffee shop when you are in an unfamiliar city. It is used in aviation to land planes, in shipping to guide cargo vessels, in agriculture for precision farming, in search and rescue to find lost hikers, and even in banking to timestamp financial transactions. It is basically the quiet superhero of modern life, silently helping billions of people every day without ever demanding a parade. There are also other global navigation satellite systems out there. Russia has GLONASS, the European Union has Galileo, China has Beidou, and a few others exist regionally. Modern smartphones actually use signals from multiple systems at once, which is why your Maps app can track you walking through a crowded city and still know exactly when you turn into a side street to get that suspiciously cheap street taco. Let us also bust one myth. GPS does not track you. The satellites are not sending your location back to some central spy headquarters. GPS satellites are like lighthouses, constantly shining out signals, but never knowing who is using them. The tracking happens in your phone or device itself, and any sharing of that data happens through your apps and networks, which is why reading those terms and conditions is only slightly less important than oxygen. Here is a fun fact. GPS has to account for Einstein's theory of relativity to work. The satellites are moving fast and are high up in Earth's weaker gravity, which makes time tick slightly faster for them compared to clocks on the ground. Without correcting for this relativistic time difference, your GPS would be off by about 10 kilometers a day. So, yes, every time you get accurate directions to the nearest burger joint, you are basically using space-time physics. Einstein would be proud and probably hungry. If you want to get the best performance from GPS, here is the practical advice. First, make sure you have a good view of the sky. Second, give your device a few seconds to lock onto enough satellites. Third, if you are hiking or in the wilderness, consider downloading offline maps in case you lose mobile data. And fourth, do not blindly trust it without looking at the road. GPS is amazing, but it has been known to lead people into lakes, dead ends, and in one famous case, the middle of an active airport runway. So to sum it up, GPS is an intricate dance between satellites, atomic clocks, radio waves, relativity, and some truly impressive math. Also, you can find your way to tacos, work, or home without guessing. It is one of those technologies that is so seamless and reliable that we forget how mind-blowingly complex it actually is, which is exactly why it deserves a little appreciation. Next time your GPS tells you you have arrived at your destination, maybe whisper a quick thank you to the 31 space robots working 24/7 to make sure you did not spend the last 3 hours going in circles. And that is the magic of GPS, from space to your screen, faster than you can say recalculating route. If you enjoyed learning how satellites, physics, and some absurdly accurate clocks keep your life moving in the right direction, hit that like button, subscribe to XQ, quick, funny explanations, and share this with a friend who still thinks GPS is powered by little gnomes with maps. And tell me in the comments, what is the weirdest or funniest place your GPS has ever sent you?